Every night, around the same time, 3 a.m. they wake up. Not just once, but night after night, like clockwork. No alarm, no noise, just awake. And if you're over 60, chances are this happens to you too. You might brush it off as just getting older. Maybe you tell yourself it's the bladder, or stress, or a bad habit before bed. But what if I told you it's not just physical? What if there's something deeper going on? Something your body is trying to tell you? Doctors, spiritual leaders, even sleep scientists have all weighed in on this strange 3 a.m. phenomenon. And the answers? They're not what you'd expect. Some say it's your liver. Others say it's your soul. And still others, well, they think it's something more mysterious, like the thinning veil between worlds during the early morning hours. But here's the thing. If you're consistently waking up at 3 a.m., your body might be trying to send you a warning or a message. And once you understand what that message is, it could change the way you look at your health, your habits, and even your past. Because waking up at 3 a.m. isn't just a sleep problem, it's a story. One your body has been trying to tell you for years. And tonight, we're finally going to listen. When Margaret turned 67, she thought the worst of her sleep issues were behind her. She had retired early from a stressful office job, moved into a peaceful neighborhood, cut caffeine after 2 p.m., and even started doing gentle yoga in the evenings. For the first time in years, her life was calm. But every night, just a few minutes after 3 a.m., she found herself staring at the ceiling, heart racing, mind alert, fully awake, as if something invisible had just shaken her from sleep. At first, she thought it was just a part of aging. Her doctor told her it was normal. Older adults don't need as much sleep, he said with a tired shrug. But deep down, Margaret knew that wasn't the full story. It wasn't just waking up, it was how she woke up. No dreams, no noise, just a sudden surge of awareness. It felt intentional, like something was calling her. She tried everything: warm milk, magnesium, blackout curtains, even expensive sleep therapy apps. Nothing worked, so she started keeping a notebook by her bed. Every time she woke up at 3 a.m., she wrote down what she felt. Sometimes she had a strong urge to call someone she hadn't spoken to in years. Sometimes she felt guilt from a memory she hadn't thought about since childhood. Other nights it was fear of dying, of being forgotten, of time slipping away. The strangest thing? As she filled those pages, she started noticing a pattern. And she wasn't the only one. Across the country, in retirement communities, online forums, even sleep clinics, older adults were whispering about the same thing: the 3 a.m. wake-up. And not just once in a while, but regularly. They all described a similar feeling: sudden alertness, as if something had snapped them out of a dreamless void. Some blamed the bladder. Others blamed aches, nightmares, or indigestion. But the timing was just too exact. 3:04, 3:01, 3:07. Over and over. So what's really happening at 3 a.m.? Let's talk about the science first, because while this might sound mysterious, your body is deeply involved. Between 2 a.m. and 4 a.m., your body enters what's called the deep maintenance phase. This is when your liver processes toxins, your immune system resets, and your cortisol, the stress hormone, starts to rise in preparation for the day ahead. But here's the thing: if your liver is overworked, if your blood sugar dips too low, or if your cortisol spikes too soon, it can jolt you awake. It's your body's emergency system saying, hey, something's not right. In traditional Chinese medicine, there's an even more ancient explanation. They believe each organ in the body has a specific time it rules during the night. And between 1 a.m. and 3 a.m., that's liver time. Between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., that's the lungs. If you consistently wake up during liver time, your body may be dealing with unprocessed anger, toxins, or stagnation. And if it's during lung time, 3 a.m. sharp, it's often connected to sadness, grief, or deep emotional suppression. Think about that. How many older adults carry unresolved grief? A lost spouse, a strained relationship with a child, regrets that pile up like dust in the corners of a quiet house. The lungs are the seat of sorrow, and at 3 a.m., your body may be literally trying to breathe through your buried pain. But beyond the body, what about the soul? Many spiritual traditions believe that between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m., the veil between the physical world and the spiritual world is at its thinnest. In folklore, it's called the witching hour. In mysticism, it's the sacred window when messages from beyond, from ancestors, from dreams, from the unconscious are most likely to appear. And the older you get, the more tuned in you may become. Not because you're magical, but because your mind is quieter. The distractions are fewer. The wounds are older, deeper, and ready to speak. Waking at 3 a.m. might be your body's cry for help, yes. But it could also be your soul tapping gently on the door, asking to be heard before it's too late. Margaret didn't believe in spirits. Not until the night she woke up at 3:06 a.m., trembling, heart pounding, and clearly heard her late husband's voice whisper her name. She sat up in bed, expecting to see him. Of course he wasn't there. But what followed was even stranger. A wave of calm, and then a memory, a vivid one of the last fight they had before he died. She had forgotten it. But now it was here. And for the first time in years, she cried. Really cried. The next night, she didn't wake up. Nor the night after that. For weeks, she slept soundly. What changed? Maybe nothing. Or maybe. She finally heard what her body and spirit had been trying to say all along. What if waking up at 3 a.m. isn't the problem but the invitation? That's what Dr. Helen Ramirez began to wonder after 3 decades studying sleep patterns in older adults. Her research didn't start in a lab, but in her own home. Her father, a retired military man with a history of perfect discipline, started waking up at 3 o'clock on the dot every night after turning 72. No pain, no nightmares. Just a sudden, silent awareness, eyes wide open. She thought it was psychological, maybe a subconscious link to early Army wake-ups. But scans, tests, and sleep monitors all showed something else. A sharp cortisol spike, irregular liver enzyme levels, and subtle heart rhythm changes every night, between 2:55 and 3:10. That's when she realized the body remembers things that the mind forgets. Every trauma, every regret, every piece of unresolved stress, stored not just in the brain, but in the tissues, the organs, the very rhythms of the body. And as we age, the body becomes more honest. It stops hiding symptoms behind youth and resilience. Instead, it whispers and then it shouts until we're forced to listen. One of her most groundbreaking discoveries came from analyzing over 500 seniors who reported nightly 3 a.m. wake-ups. Nearly 70% had a history of long-term emotional suppression, loss of a loved one, abandonment, unresolved conflict, or deep guilt. But here's where it gets even more fascinating. Those who actively journaled their feelings before bed or practiced forgiveness rituals began to sleep longer, deeper, and uninterrupted. One man, Harold, 74, hadn't spoken to his son in over 12 years after a bitter disagreement. Every night, at 3:02, he would wake up restless, sweating, with a strange pressure in his chest. When Dr. Ramirez suggested he write a letter to his son even if he never sent it, something changed. The very night he finished writing it, he slept through until morning, not once, but for weeks. He never sent the letter, but he let the emotion out, and sometimes that's all the body needs. In Chinese meridian theory, this makes perfect sense. The liver and lungs don't just filter toxins and oxygen. They process emotional waste, grief, resentment, unspoken truths. If we don't consciously release these, they rise up at the only time the body has no distractions, deep night. And for people over 60, who may have spent decades prioritizing others, bottling pain, or keeping quiet to keep the peace, those emotions don't disappear. They just wait until 3 a.m. Spiritually, this is also the time when your energetic defenses are at their lowest. During the day, we wear masks, the smile, the routine, the distractions. But at 3 a.m., there's no performance. Just you, just truth. That's why many spiritual teachers call this hour the mirror hour. Not because something is haunting you, but because your soul is reflecting something back at you that you've avoided. And here's where the idea gets powerful. Waking up at 3 a.m. could be your body's way of asking you to finally heal. Heal the pain, heal the regret, heal the fear of getting older, of dying alone, of being forgotten. These fears are universal, but few people talk about them. And even fewer know that the body often speaks them out loud, through insomnia. One woman named Clara, 81, described it perfectly. "It's not that I'm scared of dying," she said. "It's that I haven't finished living. I wake up at 3 a.m. not because of my bladder, but because something inside me is still trying to do something, say something, be something." That insight stopped Dr. Ramirez in her tracks. What if 3 a.m. is your body telling you, there's still work to do, there's still something unspoken, there's still time, but not forever? In the West, we often treat aging as decline, but in many cultures, Japan, India, among Native American tribes, the older you get, the closer you're believed to be to spiritual truth. Your dreams are clearer, your intuition sharper, and your connection to the other side more open. Which is why, they believe, elders often wake at sacred hours, not because something is wrong, but because they're more attuned to what others have long forgotten. So now let's ask the hard question. What is your 3 a.m. trying to say? Is it asking you to face a regret, to call someone you miss, to forgive yourself for something you said or didn't say? Or maybe it's telling you to write, to paint, to share your story before the world forgets what you've lived through. Because that's the secret no one tells you about aging. It's not just the end of life. It's the most powerful, unfiltered, and spiritually open chapter of your journey. And 3 a.m. might be the only time your soul can finally speak without being interrupted. So what happens when you finally start to listen? If you've made it this far, you already know waking up at 3 a.m. isn't random. It's not just a weak bladder or old age. It's your body and soul trying to get your attention. And the truth is, you don't need to fight it. You just need to listen. So how do you begin? The first step is awareness without fear. The next time you wake up at 3 a.m., instead of panicking, gently ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? Is it anxiety, sadness, a memory trying to surface? Write it down. Keep a small notebook next to your bed. This alone can turn your night from a struggle into a conversation with your deeper self. Step 2. Prepare your body. About an hour before bed, dim the lights. Avoid heavy meals, alcohol, or emotional stimulation. Drink calming teas like chamomile or lemon balm. If your liver is overburdened from medications, sugar, or stress, support it with warm water and simple herbal detoxes. A healthy liver helps prevent that 3 a.m. jolt. Step 3. Release the emotional weight. That letter you never wrote? Write it. The apology you owe yourself? Speak it out loud. Let the unfinished business find a voice, even if just for yourself. Step 4. Practice forgiveness and gratitude. Before bed, Whisper to yourself, I forgive myself for what I didn't know then. I am thankful for what I understand now. These small affirmations change your biology. They calm your nervous system. They invite sleep, not as escape, but as peace. Finally, embrace this. You are not broken. Waking up at 3 a.m. is not a flaw. It's a sacred signal. One last opportunity, each night, to come back to yourself, not to the noise, not to regret, but to the truth of who you are becoming, even now. Because healing doesn't end at 60. Sometimes, that's when it finally begins.